Welcome to everyone here in person today and to everyone who is visiting our service from home. The UU Fellowship of Lake Norman is an open and inclusive congregation. Our members walk diverse paths to find meaning and purpose, but we're united by our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of all, and by the responsibility to express our faith through acts of justice and compassion. My name is Sandy McFeely, and I've been an active member of this congregation since 2013. Today, we welcome Laurie Walker, who has been a member of our congregation, I think, from the very beginning. She is a musician, a teacher, a yoga practitioner and teacher with expertise in several forms of yoga, and a mindfulness guide who shares her practice with many of us. Laurie will talk about silence and how it can be, indeed should be, a welcome guest in our lives, and not the scary prospect some people may find it. Accompanying Laurie are Eddie Gunn, who gallantly and beautifully rescued us from last Sunday from the possibility of having no music at all, and Camille Bushusha, whose drumming is legendary and wonderful. And Camille is not quite in the middle, but well into the month of Ramadan. And if he's willing to, I would be glad for him to come up and tell us a little bit about the meaning of Ramadan and how it affects his life. Up. This up.
Hey everybody, I'm Camille Bushusha. I'm Grace's husband, if you know her. So I wasn't prepared for this, but my phone is on airplane mode, so I don't have a pen and paper to take some notes about Ramadan. So basically, if we want to know about Ramadan, there are 5 principles for Islam. Muslims, they have like 5 principles. Number 1 is called the Shahada. Means they have to believe that there is one God, there is a God and only one God, and that Muhammad is his last prophet. They still believe that Jesus is prophet, but they believe Jesus is prophet and Muhammad is the last prophet of God. That's number 1. The number 2 is the prayer. Muslim is supposed to pray 5 times a day. Early in the morning, middle of the day, afternoon, sunset, and L'Asha, which is after dinner, the prayer after dinner. Now in Ramadan, there is an extra prayer, it's called the Taraweeh. People in Ramadan, they pray more. After the dinner prayer, they add some more, like they will have an extra speech and they read more of the book. The holy book is called the Quran, basically, for the Islam. They read more of that. The third principle, I'm going over in general what's Islam, is zakat. Zakat means the donation. We have to donate. In the month of Ramadan here, the end of Ramadan, mostly the Tunisian is mostly mostly Muslim people. They give an estimate about how much each person must give, at least the minimum. So everybody must donate that money. They give it to specific people or some organization. They give it to the people who are in need. Then we have fasting in Ramadan. Fasting in Ramadan, you can, if you are sick, if you can't fast, if you have any reason, you're not supposed to fast. It's a sin to fast when you're sick, and it's a sin to fast and to not fast when you're healthy. So it goes both ways. So there is no free pass. Then the last principle is called the Hajj, meaning visiting Mecca, which is Saudi Arabia. What was what's the English word for this? When you go,
it's a pilgrimage.
To Mecca. Yeah, these are the 5 principles. Now back to Ramadan, it goes by the moon's calendar. Each year, Ramadan is 10 days earlier than what it was this year. For example, this year started on the 22nd, I believe. The next year will start on the 12th month. That's how it goes. And then why Ramadan is special for Muslims specifically, because the book of Quran, the book that came through Muhammad from God, came on Ramadan, the 27th day. It's called Laylatul Qadr, the night of I don't know how. I'm sorry, I was not prepared for this. They just put me on the spot. The night where the book came, like I guess the opening. Anyway, that's the Laylatul Qadr. I'll tell you later about it for you. That's the 27th night of the month of Ramadan. That's why people fast the whole month. Because 27th night. And one thing about Ramadan is people usually what they do, everybody's trying to be like equal, the same. So they don't eat, everybody, they don't eat much. And people tend to be as humble as they can, equally. All people, you see them eating technically the same food, and they do the same thing. So it's a good month to be like, I guess, to bring a lot of people together. I hope I did give you enough information. Thank you. Thank you.
Sandy. Thank you. Sandy, it's also Passover.
Okay,
Would you like an explanation?
yes, please. At least the executive summary.
What?
At least the executive summary.
What's where you drop the speech and it goes like that?
Uh-huh.
So Passover, it's called Passover because the angel of death passed over the houses of the Jewish people, but not the Egyptians. That was the final plague. It's a reminder that Jews were once slaves in Israel and they were freed by Moses in the story you all know about the Ten Commandments. What's unique about the holiday, I think, is it's celebrated in home. It's not celebrated in the synagogue or in church. It's celebrated at home. Jewish families have what is called a Seder. How many of you have been to a Seder? Well, there's a Seder. Seder means order. The Seders are different, but they all are a story of the liberation from Egypt and a reminder to be kind to everyone else.
I now invite Laurie to launch our service with opening words.
We're going to sing the opening song.
Oh,
Yes.
let's sing the opening song.
Let's do sing the opening song.
It's number 361 in those heavy gray books.
Yes. So we are going to sing verses 1, 3, and 4. Because they match the reflection of the man. Wait till everybody gets to it.
Please stand as you're willing and able.
And to rejoice and come in. And to rejoice and come in.
Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
So everybody that knows me knows that I love poetry. And this is just the perfect poem for the service today. It's called Love After Love, written by Derek Walcott. And if you saw in the newsletter the description of this reflection today, it's called The Silent Treatment. And I said prayer and meditation, silence requires us to go within. And silence can be a scary place. Set out a welcome mat for yourself with radical hospitality. And so this poem is about radical hospitality. The time will come when you, with elation, will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at each other's welcome and say, sit, here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life.
Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words, which are in your order of service. We light this flaming chalice to illuminate the world we seek. In our search for truth, may we be just. In our search for justice, may we be loving. And in loving, may we find peace.
So I have a story for all ages, and I would love for the young or the young and the young at heart to come up if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to walk around. Either way, it all works for me. Got to take her. Yeah. And you can sit on the floor. I'm not going to sit on the floor today because I want people to see the pictures. Everybody see pictures. So this book has sumptuous pictures. I mean, really special pictures. It even has little windows that you can see through to the other picture behind it. So it's kind of cool. It's called, again, The Lost Soul by Olga Tokarczuk. I wish I had that pronunciation exactly right. But she won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2018. And this is her first and maybe, I think, only children's book. So, The Lost Soul. So again, the illustrations are just gorgeous, intricate. It's a snowy, bleak day, isn't it? If someone could look down on us from above, they'd see that the world is full of people running around in a hurry, sweating, and very tired, and their lost souls. So I'm going to pass this book around. This is a snowy pictures, snowy, bare trees, and people out in the snow walking around. And then you see two couples sitting on a park bench. And that's just the beginning pictures of the book. Before it gets into the book. So, and I'm not going to walk around through these pictures. I'm going to sit for this reading part. So, Penny Haven, once upon a time, all good stories start off that way, don't they? Once upon a time, there was a man who worked very hard and very quickly, and who had left his soul far behind him a long time ago. In fact, his life was all right without his soul. He slept, he ate, he worked, he drove a car, he even played tennis. He played tennis without his soul. How did he do that? But sometimes he felt as if the world around him was flat, as if he were, moving across a smooth page in a math exercise book, entirely covered in evenly spaced squares. And so this page actually is graph paper. You ever seen paper like that with little tiny squares. Finally, during one of his many journeys, the man awoke in the middle of the night in his hotel room and he felt like he couldn't breathe. He looked out the window, but he wasn't even sure what city he was in. All cities look the same through hotel windows, nor was he sure how he came to be there or why. And unfortunately, he'd forgotten his own name too. Oh boy. It was a strange feeling, and he had no idea how he was going to find himself again. So he just kept very quiet. He didn't say a word to himself all morning, and that made him feel extremely lonely, as if there were no one inside his body anymore. When he stood in the mirror, before the mirror in the bathroom, he saw just a blurred streak. Even you can hardly see his face. For a while, he thought his name might be Andrew, but all of a sudden, he felt sure it was Matthew. Finally, in a state of panic, he dug out his passport. That's what you need to travel to other countries. And from the bottom of his suitcase, and he saw his name was John. The next day, he went to a wise old doctor, and this is what she told him. If someone could look down on us from above, they'd see that the world is full of people running around in a hurry, sweating and very tired, and their lost souls are always left behind, unable to keep up with the owners. The result is a great confusion because the souls lose their heads and the people cease to have hearts. The souls know they lost their owners, but most of the people don't realize they lost their souls. John, he was really alarmed by this. That scared him. How could this be possible, he said. Have I lost my soul too? The wise doctor said, it happens because souls, you know what a soul is? Your inner heart. Your soul moves at a slower pace than your body does. Souls were born at the dawn of time, just after the Big Bang, when the cosmos wasn't yet in a rush. So a soul could see itself in a mirror. And you might find a place of your own sometime. Never sit quietly and just listen to music. Or maybe watch the birds outside. Or sit by water. You ever sit by a lake or the ocean and just watch the waves? Yeah. I know us older people say, yeah, I like that. I like when I can do that. Right now, you're just playing, aren't you? Right? That's the fun part. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So, anyway, right now, it's sure to be wherever you were 2 or 3 years ago, the doctor said. So, a waiting might take a while because your soul's got to catch up with you. All right. So here we go. Here's these pictures that I was talking about. See this picture? How it's like transparent, but you can see a little bit through to the other side. Again, I'll pass these around, this around. And so he waited. He went into maybe a cabin in the woods like Thoreau. We don't know where exactly he waited. And there was no one in his home, but looks like a reindeer and a rabbit. He was with some animals. And he sat and he remembered. He remembered dancing. So he was sitting at his kitchen table. What else did he remember? What's it look like he was remembering there? When he went to the beach, like when he was little, maybe? Looks like little people, right? He remembered looking out the window when he was young. This is him as a young person. And see, the more he waits, his hair's growing longer. He's been waiting a long time. He needs a haircut. And then the plants started growing up around his window outside. I mean, he was really taking some time to wait for his soul. And then suddenly, the young person that was him peeked in the window. And it's one of those pages, like looking through a window, right? And what did he see? One afternoon, someone knocked on the door, and there stood his lost soul. Tired, dirty, scratched. At last, he was so happy. Look, he's even covered by plants. And here comes his soul through the plants, and there he is. And it looks like they went outside and sat on a bench and had a conversation with one another. And more talks. And you see how now the pages are getting more colorful, aren't they? From then on, they lived happily ever after, and John was careful not to do anything too fast, so that his soul could always keep up with him. And that is the end. Thank you for listening.
Should we sing the children out to their class?
Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you. Everywhere, everywhere you may go.
And now please stay comfortably seated as Laurie, Eddie, and Camille share a chant to bring us into this place of worship and contemplation.
Okay, so I'm going to sing a chant that's called Om Namo. Actually, all the words are in Sanskrit. It's Om Namo Guru Dev Namo, and it means I honor the teacher within. I honor my inner wisdom. Okay, and if you just feel like getting into the act, you're welcome to sing with us as well. And it's just repetitive, like a mantra, right? Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om So meditations, mantras typically get faster as people sing them. So we're going to get a little bit faster. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om ever go to a kirtan? Anybody ever been to a kirtan? It's where they sing devotional music. It's a yogi thing. And they sing mantras and they get faster and faster. And it's kind of, it's kind of a little bit like a rock concert at the end. People are dancing and it can be a lot of fun. All right. So I'm going to start off with a meditation I call the Wizard of Oz meditation. And so you can close your eyes if you want or bring them to a soft gaze, but this is more of a fun-loving meditation. It's not real introspective, so it's up to you. Just settle in your seat for a few moments here. So you are walking along, and it's a normal day, and your dog runs off. And while you're out looking for him, a mean lady comes riding along with your dog in the basket of her bike and says, "If he gets loose again, I'll give him to the shelter." If that's not enough, then a storm comes and you are thrown from everything you know and hurled into a horrible dream. And it feels so real that it takes on technicolor quality. And shortly after, you are met with every deep-seated fear and so many challenges that it seems it will take all the courage you can gather. The challenge is strong. It feels untenable. You've been pulled from what's comfortable, and you have to find the courage to get back to what feels like home. We look for things to help us. The poppies are so alluring. More challenges come our way. The monkeys are so scary, and witches are so wicked. Yet, we may find out that in some part, the resolution may be realizing that what we thought we were missing had always been there. All we needed to do was click our heels and say, "There's no place like home." Home is where we choose to be in the moment. All that's required is to turn your awareness into what is now. You have everything you need to get there. No hot air balloon required. Namaste. So I'm going to start off with a reading. I like to walk around, and we don't have a microphone anyway, right? We do? Yeah. So, yes, I thought we were amplified. We just weren't for the recorded part. Okay, then I'm not going to walk around. So here's just a little introduction to my reflection. It comes from T.S. Eliot's poem called Little Gidding. "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." Like Dorothy. So if you could start your day without caffeine, if you could be cheerful, ignoring aches and pains, if you can resist self-criticism, if you can understand when loved ones are too busy to give you time, if you can overlook when people take things out on you, when through no fault of yours something goes wrong, if you can take blame without resentment, if you can conquer tension without medical help, if you can relax without meditation, then you must be a dog. No one likes to experience uncomfortable emotions. No one does. We are a culture who likes to watch Netflix and chill, scroll social media, eat too much, shop too much, fill in the blank. When we busy our minds, it keeps us from feeling what we don't want to feel. When we're in a quiet place, often the mind kicks in with our worries, our concerns, sadness, anger, blame, other unconscious feelings that we would prefer to avoid dealing with. So we resist because it feels like the silent treatment when we're quiet and there's no distractions, like a form of punishment. The stillness of meditation or prayer connects you more closely with your emotions. One of my friends says that the reason people don't go to church anymore is because it makes them cry. When we're in church, sometimes it can be the only time the whole week that you get quiet. So how do we set out a welcome mat for ourselves and extend radical hospitality to ourselves in our inner lives? Hospitality, radical hospitality for ourselves. How do we be kind to ourselves? Hospitality is a word with spiritual history. The word hospice is derived from the Latin hospitum, meaning hospitality, or place of rest and protection for the ill and weary. Historians believe, this is unbelievable to me, the first hospices originated in Malta around 1065. And they were dedicated to caring for the ill and dying en route to and from the Holy Land, Mecca. Monasteries grew up around the 5th century. Strangers in need could come there for care. The first primitive hospitals, in fact, began there. Hospital, hospice, hospitable, hospitality, they're all the same root word, meaning generous, caring, sustaining. The most famous of these monasteries was St. Benedict's monastery, and he actually created a book of rules to live by called the Rule of Benedict, which is still used today by some monasteries. And the foundational rule from St. Benedict's book was, listen with the ear of your heart. Okay? So how about, is that hospitality? Listen to yourself with the ear of your heart, he wrote. However, we are not generally accustomed to listening to ourselves with the ear of our heart. Often when we pray or meditate or get quiet, that inner critic pops up, right? And it can be more difficult to extend kindness to ourselves to others than to ourselves. Yet at this time, more than ever, I believe we need radical hospitality to stretch ourselves spiritually and to stretch ourselves open. There is a world out there that needs our ideas and actions that come from a place of peace and calm, not from watching Netflix and chilling. New ideas and ways of being come from a place of focus. And there could be a deep richness in quiet if we guide it with radical hospitality and loving kindness, almost like setting a table for yourself when you go inward, where you put out the best linens, nice china, silverware, and you make judgment and his friends or her friends sit outside and not welcome them to your table. You invite love and compassion to your table. And this takes practice. It takes being uncomfortable if it makes you uncomfortable sitting in silence. It takes showing up for church or wherever you go where you might have a time of just sitting in peacefulness. So we have a hymn in the Teal book called Filled with Loving Kindness. And it comes from a Buddhist, I don't know it's not a prayer, but from a Buddhist practice called the practice of loving kindness. And I would love for us to do this together because, like I said, this takes practice. So it's on page 1031. I'm not going to make you sing it. I promise. Well, maybe. No, we're going to use the words from this hymn because they are from the original loving kindness practice. So let's say the words together. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be whole. May I be whole. So this practice of loving kindness, typically we say it for a friend. So instead of putting I in there, we put in, bring to mind someone you know. And then we bring to mind someone that you encounter like in an everyday interaction, like going to the grocery store, or just someone you might see that makes your day a little happier, but you don't know them really well. But you just take time to extend some loving kindness by just saying these words quietly to yourself. And then you bring to mind someone that maybe you don't agree with. And that's even harder than yourself sometimes. And bringing to mind someone you don't agree with. And can you imagine saying these words in your mind to someone you don't agree with? May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you feel peaceful and at ease. And may you be whole. Talk about radical hospitality, extending that to someone who maybe you don't like. But we're going to try this again. I'm going to sing, and you can just say the words. And I want you to just imagine, what does it feel like to be kind to yourself? What does it feel like to be kind to yourself? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? So I'm going to sing, and you can say the words. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be whole. And so now if you want to just place your hymnals down, and I'm going to do the full meditation and ask you to do it along with me. And then I'm going to do the whole shebang. So I want you to wiggle a little bit, move your shoulders, wiggle in your chair, feel your feet on the floor. You can even go. Get your feet on the floor, right? Lift your shoulders up to your ears, squeeze, and then 1, 2, 3, let go. Yeah. And then let your chin drop a little bit and let your jaw get heavy, your face soften. And just pause there. You can bring your eyes closed or to a soft gaze. Now I'm going to circle back. I want you, don't move your feet, but feel your feet on the floor. You can even press them a little bit. And then maybe wiggle in your seat a little bit. Feel your seat in the seat. You feel your shoulders, you can lift them, and then drop them back down again. And then back to the jaw, let the jaw get heavy. And then let a hint of a smile come to the corners of your mouth. And then relax that. And relax that. So sometimes it feels unsafe to go into this quiet mode where your body's not moving. Can you put one hand now on like the center of your chest, right on your breastbone? And then not controlling your breath, just notice the fact that you are breathing. Right? Right here, right now, in this space where the beauty of a spiritual gathering, we're here with other people who care about you in a sacred space. Just breathe. And then I'm going to sing. You can leave your hand there, or you can just rest your hands on your lap. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I feel peaceful and at ease. And may I be whole. And now I want you to bring to mind someone you know, someone you care about. Maybe they're suffering, or maybe they just need a little extra love and light sent their way. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be whole. May you feel peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. And then bring to mind someone that you run into them now and then, you don't know them really well, but you want to send some kindness in their direction. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you feel peaceful and at ease. And may you be whole. And then we've already done someone that we don't agree with so well, so we're going to go one more time back to ourselves, right? And this time I want you to take your hand again, put it back on the center of your chest, take the other hand and seal the deal, put it on top. So you almost feel like you're giving yourself a hug. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I feel peaceful and at ease. And may I be whole. And then if you'd like to bring your hands together, and I say namaste to you, means I honor you. I honor you. So ending this reflection is just a reading from Mark Nepo, an author. We keep looking for a home, though each one of us is a home. And no matter where we run, we land before each other, thoroughly exposed. This is the purpose of gravity, to wear us down till we realize we are each other. Though we think we're alone, we all meet here. Though we start out trying to climb over each other, we wind up asking to be held. It just takes some of us longer to land here than others. Once worn of our pretense, it's hard to tolerate arrogance. Once humbled, it's hard to withstand a litany of me. Once burning off the atmosphere of self-interest, there's a tenderness that never goes away. This tenderness is the sonar by which we sense the interior of life. This tenderness is the impulse that sets us free. And this is my favorite part of this reading. For anything is possible when we let our heart be our skin. The point is to feel whatever comes our way, not ignore it or conclude it out of its aliveness. The unnerving blessing about being alive, is that it can change us forever. You keep discovering that everyone is lovable, magnificent, and flawed. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. I kind of hate to break the silence that we need. This is the part of our service that we call the talk back. So if you have thoughts, questions for Laurie, experiences to share that she's brought to your mind.
Any meditation resistors out here? Yeah, we don't call it that. Yeah.
So, you more beautifully than most of us sung a wonderful meditation. Made me think some of religions have chants, Gregorian chants.
Yeah.
The meditation became a song. So I wonder why you chose to avoid the second verse of enter, rejoice, and come in, when it does say
Open your
open your
ears
ears
to the song.
to the song. I
Just to
think
keep it
that's-
short.
I think that's more appropriate.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not really that long.
I agree. Yeah, thank you. Next time. Go back. You know, the interesting, I'll tell you a little about my journey with meditation. It's not long. I first started practicing yoga and meditation a long time ago. But the reason I came to it is I had horrific anxiety. My father died very young, and the way my grief showed itself in my body was terrible anxiety, horrific. So I went to a therapist, and he happened to be a yogi. He actually, he started off as a UU, and then he ended up going to the main Baptist church in Charlotte. I can't think of it, Myers Park Baptist, one of the main. And he started a Buddhist group at the Baptist church. But he was like my first teacher that introduced me to meditation and yoga. And so when I first started seeing him, I said, I'm going to do this meditation thing. Well, when you are highly anxious, meditation is no fun. When you have no tools to calm yourself down, which is what I've learned over the years, meditation can make you feel even more anxious. So I tried to sit in meditation, and my body felt like I was climbing up one wall, going across the ceiling, going down the other. It was not working. Went back to my therapist. I said, hey, this meditation thing, it's not for me. He said, well, why don't you try yoga? You can move. And I said, okay, I'll try yoga. And that's how I started practicing yoga, because I could fling my arms around, and it was just, yes, better. And I thought I practiced yoga 15 years before I even really seriously started meditating. I mean, that's how resistant I was to it. So I understand when people are resistant to meditation, because so was I. What I started doing is journaling every day. So I get up in the morning and I do that. You've heard the morning pages that came from a book called The Artist's Way. It's written about 30 years ago, but like get up in the morning, write 3 pages, don't even think about it. You can complain, you don't have to spell right, nobody cares. Just write something down that's on your mind, just to take like windshield wipers to clear your brain. And that's what I did. That was my meditation. And for some people, they don't ever practice formal meditation, but they meditate. They go for walks, they ride horses, there's a lot of things that can be meditative. Sitting quiet and listen to your favorite music, whatever. It took me a long time to get to meditation. So if you're curious about it, I do teach it, but, and there are tools. And I'd be glad to send you a handout, of some just simple breathing practices, or you can go to my website and learn some, that's free, simple breathing practices that help you calm down your nervous system. Okay? Any other? Yeah. Jim?
Go ahead, Jim. You talk about calming calming yourself down. We're victims of technology. Take a look at your digital watch and it's no longer, quarter to four, it's actually 14 minutes to four. You have a good day at home and the news is filled with genocide in Rwanda. You know, that used to be on a 6-month after a fact report on the 6th page of the local newspaper that you could read or not read, and yet it's right there.
Just in time.
I think there's a lot of things that you can do, and I had a very important person to me who would say, well, I need my physical and mental rest, period.
Yes, yeah, that's it. You need it. And yes, even more, I mean, breaking news comes every 5 minutes, depending on which station you're on. I mean, we are bombarded, and there's no wonder people want to just chill out, you know, find other distractions that often aren't healthy, because people need the rest. They need their minds to rest. Yeah. Yeah.
I was told, I suffered from hyperventilation years back, and it has physical repercussions also, because it's almost mimics a heart attack. You get pain in your left arm and you go numb. And for years, I was working on trying to undo this, and I was standing outside my dad's hospital room one time, and a doctor walked by and he said, "Are you hyperventilating?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Just breathe through your nose. You can't hyperventilate through your nose." And nobody had ever said that to me. Shut your mouth and breathe through your nose.
Right.
Most relaxation exercises I found, you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. But when you're in the throes of hyperventilating, you know, if you don't have that little paper bag to
Right.
put over your face, he said, just breathe through your nose and it'll go away. And that was like, you know,
Like,
nobody ever said that to me before.
Yeah.
And I used it with my mom as well. You know, she'd get into one of her little tizzy things. And one other thing that I had read years and years ago that I did for a while when I had that anxiety is someone said, allot 20 minutes in a day, the same 20 minutes every day, to worry about everything you could possibly think of. And then you don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. And what was so interesting, you were supposed to let your mind like really go wild and think of every possible thing, even if it didn't have to do with you. And you can't fill 20 minutes. You cannot fill 20 minutes of
But you can
worry.
spend 24 hours of it
Yeah,
having a
because it
running
just-
back tape of your mind.
So that's what they said, you know, like 6 to 6:20 every night or whatever.
Yeah.
Worry about everything that you could possibly think of, and you have the rest of the day.
I'm open to all techniques, and I teach them. I write them down, I share them with my students. But I had a similar experience. One of my yoga teachers told me that a longer exhale is calming to the, you know, calms the body down. It was like, what? Because yes, when you're worried, you keep trying to get more breath. But to exhale out of the mouth and do it longer, then you bring in your inhale. It's just science. Yeah. Okay.
Walking dogs help.
Walking dogs.
I think you have my script.
Oh. Sorry. I know.
This fellowship is important to us all. The contributions we make today allow us to sustain and grow our congregation and to reach out to our community, both nearby and in the larger world. Your giving affirms our commitment to each other and to the community. With grateful hearts, we receive these gifts, including the gift of Eddie's music. May they encourage us to live lives of integrity, compassion, and peace. Our closing song today is number 1057 in the Teal books. Go lift it up. Go lift it up, love bless your way. My starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day. There's just one brief announcement before the closing words today. Camille brought us a lovely box of dates to celebrate Ramadan. So now we all have dates for Ramadan. They'll be open on the welcome table out in the entryway. Our closing words today are from the book of Isaiah. For you shall go out in joy and be led back in peace. The mountains and the hills before you shall burst into song, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Please say with me the words in your order of service as I extinguish the chalice. To extinguish this chalice,
not the light of truth, the warmth of community, but fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.